Whether you're community or whether you're a business or whether you're a resident, you need to balance the income you've got to work with the expenses that are needed. You can't just throw stuff frivolous out the window. There's things you have to do in the village. You got to maintain the streets, you got to maintain your equipment, you got to have good personnel. And in your home, you also need the same thing. You need your home well taken care of. You need your appliances at work. And you need, in order to do that, you need to balance those expenses with the income you have. In the village, you need to look at the expenses you have to have, and that's where you set your budget, you set your tax levy to offset that.
John, thank you. Tracy, you get a second shot at this one.
Okay. I think it comes down to really living within your means and budgeting for needs. Things do come up and things are always going to come up, but prioritizing those needs and not going for the wants necessarily. There's some things that the village doesn't need that is more of a want, and looking at those things when going through the budget items to make it more efficient.
Thank you, Tracy. Debbie, off to you.
Well, the biggest is if it's not broke, you don't fix it. You don't spend the money on something that's unnecessary that you don't need to buy. When I was on the board, I did see, I really scrutinized the check register and questioned a lot of, I won't get into where the money was spent right now, but questioned a lot of what department's money was spent in, and kept a pretty tight eye on that. And I think that there's still money. I see things happening right now with snowfalls of that much and snowplows running their blades across the asphalt, and to me that's just a waste, just an absolute waste. So yeah, if it's not broke, don't fix it.
Thank you, Debbie. Brian, you get to wrap up this question for us.
All right. I would have the same thoughts as the other candidates as well. My thought on the budgeting process, and we could be looking at some different things this next coming year or years to follow. I mean, we can't go by a gas station now without seeing a 4 as the first number for a gallon of gas, right? So, I mean, that could all, the economy, gas prices, inflation, that could all play into the budgeting process next year and years going forward. What I expect of our department heads, whether it be from the administrator, fire chief, police chief, DPW, whatever, I expect them to run it like their own little business and be accountable, be fiscally responsible, and at home, I look at things too, you know, business isn't what it is, income may go down, you know, commission employee or whatever. I have to make those changes in my lifestyle or things that I do, and we may not always have that income coming in at the village level, so I think we have to be very fiscally responsible with the money that we do have coming in, and ultimately look at lowering that tax levy to lower that. The mill rate doesn't mean a whole lot, it's the actual levy that you're looking at. We have to really work at keeping that levy low and maybe even lowering it from what it was to keep our taxes in line.